What's going on, guys? I'm here with my boy Max Oliver. He's a 24-year-old seven-figure business owner, and we just wanted to sit down today and basically talk about how he's scaled his company at such a young age, and also what our partnership entails. And yeah, man, I'm really excited to sit down and chat today.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. Looking forward to it, Cam. And yeah, excited to dive in because I've loved seeing what you do, and I feel like we've definitely needed this conversation. So
Guys, and just for context, how did I even get in touch with somebody like Max, right? It's all about offering value. And that's what I really want to start this off as, because I think a lot of people come into our DMs and like they say something, but it's not really relevant to us. And it's more of like, hey, this is what I want from you. Or they just come in and try to pitch, right? And the reality is I took a call with one of your sales guys who I really liked because he knows what he's doing, right? And he knows what he's doing in a sense of like he customized things to me. I came in looking for something. He spoke about it correctly. Very chill, very opposite of my style, to be honest, and it works really well for him. I'm very aggressive in your face.
mm,
And my style works for me because I'm the founder selling my own thing,
yep,
right? But he knows how to adapt to your offer, given that there's just less trust, right? Because they don't know him, they know your face, right?
yeah,
With that said, came into the program. Max is and his company are running my ads, and um, I'm going to be helping Max and his company with sales. And the reality is, I got a hold of Max by offering value, by basically saying, "Here's what I can do for you. I'd love to create content like we're doing now and collaborate and just talk about what we both do and make good content for the audience." So, um, yeah, I'll just kick things off with that.
I love that, man. Yeah, and I think it's important to learn how to communicate the value that you can offer, and then understanding what needs people have. It can help you get into circles with high performers, and sometimes you may just need to pay for it too. Like, I are you familiar with a guy named Joel Kaplan?
I am. Yeah, he's from close to where I'm from. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So I bought his program 2 years ago. It was a great program. Um, and then I just barely bought into kind of his elite mastermind because he just announced, hey, I'm doing 1 million a month in my agency, and if you want to kind of know the pitfalls, the mistakes that I made in growing it to that, then I've got this new program. So I reached out, bought in. It was $20,000 just for information and connection.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, I had one call with him, and it already paid for itself. Like
Yeah.
the little things that he told me, I know for a fact will unlock. I had this call yesterday with him, and I know for a fact it's already going to unlock massive amounts of value in my business. There's just something to that, like getting with somebody who has done what you want to do. Because, like Cam, if you had to restart from scratch, dude, you could build back what you have 10 times faster and 10 times better. And so anyone else who's in that space, who's just getting started, you could help them grow 10 times faster, 10 times better, right? So paying for that proximity, and sometimes you don't have to pay for it though. Sometimes you just deliver value and you get that proximity. So I love that.
Yeah, yeah. And to be honest, dude, like in 2018 when I was starting my entire journey, like I did have to pay because I didn't have value to offer. So I had to learn by paying and investing to develop the skills to then have value to offer. Right? So people don't understand where they're at, right? You can be
Mm,
like there's literally people like that are like blue collar workers. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but like if you don't offer any value to my business, like I don't need blue collar labor, right? So there's nothing you can offer me. But if you come in and you say something like, "Hey, I need to make sure you're legit, so you need to send me money." Why would I do that? Right? And I know that sounds so insane to like even think that that's something that somebody could say to me in the DMs, but it just shows you like the different types of minds that are out there. Like the first investment I ever made in myself was 10 grand on an Amex card. I was scared as hell, but somebody that I'm still in touch with talked me through it. Shout out to Jacob Combs. Okay, if he's listening, we're still in touch. Changed my life. Sometimes when you put yourself in a position where you have no choice but to succeed, you succeed. But people are so scared about losing $200, $500. Even with us, ads is an investment. I might not win month one. I might win. It's okay either way. Things take time to develop. But people come in and they want an overnight result. I talked to a guy in regards to trading, right? In regards to my investing program. He lost one trade, bro. He cried about it for weeks. We won the next 10. He didn't do them because he was so scared. He didn't even realize what he lost until it was too late. He's like, oh no, they're actually winning every one. And now he's so frozen. He's like, but what if I lose again? What if I happen to lose the 12th? That's like saying this, let me take one sales call a year and hope it works.
Mm,
Okay. Or you could take one a day, right? And at the end of the month, you'll be up. Same thing with investing, same thing with ads. If you keep playing the game and getting better, you will win. And people just aren't willing to play. They'd rather opt out entirely.
yep. Couldn't agree more, man. I saw a quote on Instagram that was like, you know, the six-figure entrepreneur had to lose $10,000 to get to his six figures. The millionaire had to lose six figures to get to his million. The billionaire had to be willing to lose millions to get to the billion. And I think just some people don't have the muscle to, or they don't have it, or they're not willing to grow that muscle of being able to lose and then get back up and try again. Um, and if that's you and you're just scared about that, then entrepreneurship might not be the path for you. Like you have to be able to take little losses and just take them to the chin and keep going, because it just gets harder at every level you go up.
Yeah.
So um,
And not to cut you off, but it's more embarrassing actually as you get bigger because
yeah,
you're losing more, right? So who do you think, like, let's just give an example of like the family, right? Like your not your family, but like anybody's parents. Do you think they're more scared of their son losing 1,000 or a million? A million.
oh yeah,
It's not even like about relative success. Like even if I was making 100,000 a month, if I told my mom I lost 50 grand, she would lose it. But if I lose 1,000, even if I'm broke, she's like, oh, it's just $1,000. And that's literally conversations that we've had since 2018. She's like,
yeah,
oh, well, that course you bought was only 1,000. But when I told her I've lost 200,000, she's like, bro, she was heartbroken. But
yeah,
she doesn't understand, like, not to get too deep on that, but like, when I think about the way my parents raised me, there was a lot of tough love and a lot of criticism, and not even necessarily constructive criticism. And I'm not saying that's good, but I always tell my mom today, I'm like, you made me. Even if you're sorry, like she apologizes today, I'm like, you made me though. Like, I'm really happy with who I am. Even though
yeah,
you're so scared for me because you're like I tell her what I make, and she's like, she can't even wrap her head around it. And I'm like, when do I win? Like I asked her, like, when do I win here? I asked my dad, when do I win here? I don't. And that's okay. There's certain people, not to tangent off too far, but like there's certain people that you're not going to be able to convince of your vision. And that's why entrepreneurship is a lonely road. And I'm sure you've experienced that too. Um, but it's like on that topic of like entrepreneurship isn't for you, it doesn't have to be for you. Aiden, your closer, is in college making more money than most 30-year-olds.
yeah,
Just a fact. And I'm like, I didn't even know he was in college. He speaks so maturely. He's like, yeah, I'm just, getting my degree. And he seems so like low stress. Like, I'm just like, dude, like, how are you, man? And people don't even understand. He doesn't even have his degree yet. And he's making more money than 30-year-olds because he linked up with somebody like you who's making six figures a month. Do the math, guys. If he's the sales guy on a company making six figures a month, maybe he's making like five figures a month or close to it, right? What's his stress level? Look, he just has to show up to calls at 7 p.m. or whenever he's done taking calls for the day. He can close his laptop and not worry about all the things that people like Max and I have.
oh,
So then again, if you don't have the skill set for sales, you might have to pay to invest, or you can figure it out on YouTube. or you can go through a job placement program. I have one of those. Okay? It all depends on how fast you want to succeed and how much you value money for time. If you
Yeah.
find money to be so important that you need to hoard it in your bank account, it's just going to take you longer to win. That's what I
Dude,
believe.
1000%. I think most people think they're ready for entrepreneurship, but they and I think this is probably why most businesses fail is because they think they're ready and they get started in it, and then they take a few big losses where they realize, oh, I have to put money up front to get this thing to grow. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know if this is for me. And I think it's really good that people get paid to learn before they go execute. And sales is a great place to get paid to learn on, like, get paid on the job, right? Where you can learn. I think every entrepreneur needs to know how to sell. And unfortunately, I didn't do any sales gigs before I started my business. And so I really struggled with sales for the first 2 years of my business until I hired coaches and like really tried to figure it out. I might have been better off getting a sales job and just doing that for a year to really perfect the craft before getting into being an entrepreneur. Luckily, I worked for my dad's marketing agency for a year, and it was a little over that, maybe almost 2 years, and that really helped me understand like how marketing agencies work, and that was a catapult for me. I was getting paid to learn that. I didn't have the skill set for sales yet at that point, but I think if you've tried to start a business and it failed, and you're feeling like, this entrepreneurship might not be for me right now. It might not be for you in that stage of life that you're in and with your current skill sets. So go get those skill sets, go work for someone, go get a mentor that you can work for and learn from them. I have a buddy, he's a mentor of mine. His name's Casey Baugh. He would hire kids to stock his fridge, and he would give them books to read and just happen to do like admin stuff around his properties worth, $250,000, or sorry, $250 million, just worth a crazy amount. And yeah, he would just hire kids to do random stuff around his house just because he loved to mentor them, just to hang out around the family and kind of see how he operates, and then give him books to read. And then he'd say, hey, if you read a book, I'll give you $100 back, and I'll give you $100 if you come back and report to me on what you learned from that book and how you're going to go apply it to life. So I love mentoring people, and most like successful entrepreneurs love mentoring people. And so there's people out there like that. And like we talked about earlier, if you could figure out how you can fill a need that they have, like stocking their fridge, that could be a need that they have, right?
Yeah.
Just something small so you can get proximity to them, learn. That might be the better course of action than diving right into entrepreneurship with very little skill set. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And my journey was different than yours in the context of I did sales for a while.
mm,
I tried to start my own business while learning sales and I failed. And when I say failed, it's like I really just kind of gave up and got in my own head. It's not like I like lost a bunch of money and failed. I just like it was too much for me to like get really good at sales and something else at the same time, which is
yeah,
why, bro, even when like if you look at my funnel and my programs, it's hey, if you don't have any money, you shouldn't be an entrepreneur because you obviously don't have high income skills. That's my belief because I did it the way I did it and it worked, and this is how I know how to mentor and teach and coach along this path. You need a sales job. I will
yeah,
get you a sales job at one of my partner companies and work with you until you get to 10K a month. You are guaranteed a job if you work with me. Simple. People say like, how can you guarantee that? Well, because I have relationships with companies looking for people trained by me. It's not like I've built those relationships, right? I've built those agreements. Like it's not people think that's too good to be true. It's like how like where do you live that you think that's too good to be true? That's just like a very common business model. It's not like I'm the only person doing this,
yeah,
right? The only difference is I'm from the Silicon Valley, and I think what makes me different is that I know a lot of software companies, founders. I know a lot of online consulting founders like yourself, right? And I have tight knit group of solid companies. It's not just like a bunch of random companies applying to work with me. It's I hand vet or I should say hand pick and vet out the companies that I know that my sales guys can make 10, 15, 20K a month. Example would be this. People fall into the technology sales trap in the Silicon Valley, realizing that because they get a high base, that they think that means they're going to make a lot of money. But the reality is they give you a high base to make you feel secure, then realizing your compensation plan and your quota doesn't really add up with what you really want to make.
Mm,
Uh, in commission only sales, the downside, quote unquote, is you don't get a base, but you have only qualified inbound leads at good companies, which means you don't have to hunt for new business. You do what Aiden does, your closer. Show up and close people like me that makes sense.
yep.
And you have a 7-figure business because you have that model, right? So it's like understanding you have to get the sales stuff under you first before going into entrepreneurship at all.
Yeah.
What's the next step of what I teach? Investing, right? And I'm not saying you should also learn to actually be a master investor. I don't think you should. I think you should know the bare minimums, which is what I teach you, and then just follow me. Because me and my team are always going to beat you because my team is full time in the crypto and the futures world, right? Ex investment bankers, ex Goldman Sachs guys that really know their stuff, not internet like Jake the stock guy type people, right? People that really know their stuff and have the pedigree. You can look them up on LinkedIn that work with me. The same way, practicing what I preach, I came to you because I know the bare minimum for ads, but I want your help because you're the expert. You have a team that makes sense for me. Um, so just really understanding like there's certain things that you need to really dial in on and focus if you want to be great at. And then there's other things you can like kind of know the bare minimums and then outsource. I don't know how
Yep.
you feel about that.
No, I 100% agree. You need to, there's a few skills that entrepreneurs definitely need to have, but at some level, just to make some money so that you can delegate what you're not good at. But it's all
Mhm.
about delegating what you're not good at and then doubling down on what you are good at. I have this model. It's kind of, I think it's kind of a stupid model because it's obvious, but it's the what more better principle. So it's figuring out what activities drive the highest results, and then how can you do more of those. Like figure out how you can clear out your day so you can do as much of those activities as possible. Then once you're doing the volume, figure out how you can optimize and do it better. So figure out what activities, how can I do more of them, and how can I do them better. And as an entrepreneur, most of the time in the beginning, it's going to be like sales. That is going to be the number one activity that's going to grow your business. So how can you clear out your day? How can you delegate everything else so that you could sell? Dude, I sold every single client for gosh, 2.5, almost 3 years before I really figured this out. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this because it took me a long time to delegate the sales process. I think because sales, I didn't come from a sales background, and finally we've got a small sales team that's cranking. But what do you feel like most beginning entrepreneurs struggle with when delegating the sales process? What are like some of the pain points you see?
When delegating it, okay. So I'm going to take even a step back from the sales process because I think the issue stems from something else,
Okay.
which is not even really knowing if their offer or product or service even makes sense.
Ooh. Yeah.
Um, and I think that's where they get in trouble because they're like, they start something just because someone else did, and they're like, oh, like this also makes sense for me. So to pivot on that, for me, for example, I started my journey in the online entrepreneurship space by selling one thing and one thing only because that's what Hormozy told me to do.
Mhm.
Right. Then I realized I'm leaving so much money on the table for people that don't want that, but want something else that I'm good at. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay, let me just sell the things that I'm good at. And I started making so much more money, bro, and so many more case studies, so many more testimonials. Because, so to answer your question, the biggest mistake in terms of delegating is one, not knowing if what they're selling makes sense. Two, trying to delegate way too early, which I
Mm.
think a lot of people do because they don't want to sell. And it's like, dude, you will sell better than any employee of yours because you're the founder and the trust is that much higher. They've seen your face in content, especially in the online, right? In the online space. Um, I think the only reason you should ever delegate sales really early is if you don't speak English well and you're selling to Americans. And I know a lot of software founders that do that. They come to me and they're like, either, they're from China and they're even venture backed from Chinese venture capital firms, but they're like, we need a sales team that's American to speak to American buyers because we don't like have the language and they don't really trust us, to be honest. And they have good software, bro, but they're not from here and they're selling to Americans. And that's why they couldn't even sell themselves to American VCs to get funding, right? Not saying they couldn't get funding. They got 50 mil from China, which is great. China has money. But in terms of selling, they had to, I helped with that, right? So that's the only reason you should delegate super early. But I think the biggest mistake, again, not knowing your offer, delegating way too early, not taking the time to master the craft at the end of the day.
Mm.
Yeah.
Dude, well said. That resonates so well because yeah, it was like my third year in business. I had spent, and this it wasn't like a ton, but like for me at the time it was a ton. I spent like 25 grand on ads that year in unclosed leads for 4 different sales guys. So each of them burned through about 5K ish of leads, um, and without a single deal closed. And I think I was trying to delegate the sales process too early. I hadn't really figured it out myself. And I don't think I had that structure of what a good sales team looks like. What does a good sales director look like? How do you manage a sales team? How do you get someone successful at sales? It took me a long time to figure that out, but I couldn't agree more. I think that's a part of the journey that every entrepreneur wants to get to. They're like, let me delegate the sales, like let me get out of the sales process. But you got to stay in the sales process long enough to be an expert at it and to be able to train on objection handling and closing and writing a really solid sales script and spending time with your sales guys. You can't just delegate it and not spend time with them and not manage them. So
Yeah.
it was, dude, and I love how you said like because Hormozy said so. That's like I tell that to my team all the time. Like, why are we doing this? I'm like, dude, because Hormozy said so. And like that's actually how I started to build my sales team is I finally just listened to Hormozy on what he said.
Yeah.
And a lot of things we just do it because Hormozy said so. And it works.
It does, but there's also things like it's not so black and white, right? Like the
Yeah.
reality is Hormozy's first win, and hopefully I'm saying this right, was gym launch. I mean, that's what everybody knows him for in the beginning.
Yeah.
That model is very different than most high ticket models that he now consults on. But he's done it again. I'm not saying he hasn't. Of course he has. He's the godfather of all of this. But the gym launch model was a franchise model. So it just has a whole different component to what I do, where selling one thing works a little differently because it's franchisable.
Mm,
Um, I think the reality is, once again, it's not so cookie cutter, and that like some people can scale to like 70K a month on their own before they delegate sales. Some people can scale to 50, and like the lowest businesses in my ecosystem of like established businesses that I place salespeople on, 50K a month is that minimum. So like they're looking for their first closer. They have too many calls on their calendar. They need somebody that makes sense. Well, do the math, guys. If they're at 50K a month, as a closer, you get 10 to 15%. Minimum, you're making 5K a month, all inbound leads. What do you think is going to happen as you keep taking sales calls? Well, they're going to keep giving you more leads, and then you're going to make more and more money as they grow.
yeah.
Right. So people think that's like a big risk, but it's like, bro, if you work at a company like, I don't know, Accenture, they have 6,000 employees. You're just another cog in the wheel. How much do you think your upside is? Like, you really think you want to compete with all those people because they're established, right? At the same time, my biggest company, they're making 3 million a month, and they can take any setter and closer that I give them. But I don't send them all to them because sometimes it doesn't make sense. But that's a high volume opportunity for beginners to get in where they can get in and like those guys make 5K a month all the way to 30K a month as closers.
Yeah.
And the range is so wide because it's a high volume game because 3 million a month, bro, you have a lot of leads.
Yeah.
They get 70,000 new leads a day. The CRM, they're one of the biggest in the health and wellness space. Okay. And you can make it what you want to make it and win.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but if you want to just like take a few calls a day, you're not going to make 30K a month there.
Yeah.
Now, at my other boy's company, they make 10 million a year revenue. He has 5 to 10 closers. Some of them make 20K a month, some make 30. That job is a little more lax in the context of, yeah, you're taking 5 to 7 calls a day, but it's not as high volume as like outbound calling, trying to set your own appointments, closing, so on and so forth. So there's no cookie cutter way to just like, this is the way to scale and that's it. Because if there was, like, we would all be way bigger than we are.
Yeah, totally. And dude, do you know by much, or do you know much about the door-to-door space, door-to-door
Not
sales?
much. I don't.
So
I
we
don't.
actually work with a lot of door-to-door guys, helping them grow their personal brands.
Mm.
I think door-to-door is one of the fastest places to learn how to, like, if you want to be an entrepreneur and you just want to make buttloads of money early on in your career, I think door to door is probably the best way to do it. I didn't do it, but I kind of wish I did. It's too late for me now just because I'm busy with this, and this is working. But dude, in Utah, so it's a big thing here in Utah. Reason why, so we're all Mormons here,
Yeah.
right? So we
Yeah.
go knock doors for 2 years selling the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And then when we get home, we've got this skill set, right? Well, what do we do with it? We go sell solar, we go sell pest control, we go sell alarms door to door.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but coming from selling the gospel of Jesus Christ door to door,
Yeah.
anything else is easier to sell, I'm telling you. So I went and did that. A lot of my friends went out and did pest control and solar after that. But dude, there's these kids making between the ages of 20 and 25, making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in just during the summer, because they go out and sell for 3 to 4 months and they do crazy high volume. They knock, anywhere between 100 and 200 doors a day. And most of those are rejected. Most of those are big rejections. And so if you learn as an entrepreneur or as a sales guy to just like take those rejections to your chin and like keep going to the next door and just keep cruising, dude, door-to-door sales is crazy. And that's just the sales part of it, not the recruiting side. Because where they really make their money, it's kind of like a little bit like an MLM where they recruit and build these massive door-to-door teams.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was curious if you had heard much about that space, but
And I love that you brought this up though, because it just shows you that like winners are going to win in any situation. People will, on the other side of this conversation, will say, oh, door to door is a bad opportunity. Well, dude, if you can make 100 grand in the summer, you can't say it's a bad opportunity, right? People can say working in an oil rig is a bad opportunity. Yeah, it's pretty freaking dangerous. It just depends on what you value, right? If you want to make 180 grand and you're a felon and you can't get a job, that's how you do it. You go work at an oil rig. Have you seen what's the show? Midland? Damn. Landman on Paramount. Watch it. It's about the oil business in Texas. It's really cool. Won a Golden Globe actually. But there's hard stuff that will build you into the man or woman that you want to be. Just when you said door to door, I've never done door to door, but I've done like high volume cold calling roles, and I got so good at cold calling. And you know how hard it is to get hung up on, bro? Like, first world problem, right? It's so hard to get hung up on. But it is. It hurts your soul, bro. When other people hear it, they're like, damn, he got hung up on. They don't say it, but they're thinking it, right? They're like, fuck, this shit is hard. Then they realize what they're doing is hard too. They're right next to you. And you're all suffering together in the best possible way. But then you get so good where, bro, like, there was times, like, I sold for a company. Can I talk about this? Hold on. Yeah. I sold for a company called Veeam. 2018, first sales job out of college. Fintech company, they do international payments. Basically, businesses that have vendors overseas that they want to pay them through blockchain because it's more streamlined. This is when crypto is just like, taking off again.
Hmm.
Bro, I used to say don't hang up on like that's how aggressive I would get. Like they're like, no, I'm not. Listen, don't hang up, and they wouldn't hang up because no one's ever told them that, right?
Yeah.
I'd be like, listen, I'm gonna FaceTime you right now and show you we're not a scam. And I did. I FaceTime them. I walk outside, show them Veeam. I'm like, Google Veeam on your phone right now, and they did, and they're like, shit. Goldman Sachs gave them money. Shit, Google Ventures gave him money. He's not lying. Okay.
I love that. Don't hang up.
Don't hang up. And bro, I closed deals off don't hang up. Genuinely. That gave me the confidence to realize, bro, like they're not teaching you that in the script. The best sales guys sell with no script. Meaning you should have a process that you learn. We teach you that in our job placement program where we teach you how to sell expensive products and services to people that can afford it or businesses that can afford it and need it. There is a process for that. And when you first get started, yes, you're going to be reading the script on your phone a little bit. On your laptop a little bit in the background while you're on Zoom or on the phone. But after a while, bro, you just kind of know how to be adaptable and intuitive. And I know you have a couple minutes left, so we'll wrap up. But you learn how to be adaptable and intuitive, and you just know how to like, sometimes you don't need to ask all the questions on the script because you find what they care about and you hammer in. And that's good. That's called ethical. Hormozy says this. I love this about what he says. Ethical manipulation. I'm taking you. He said that's his term. He says
I haven't heard that. That's good.
Yeah, look it up. Look up Hormozy ethical manipulation. He has a clip about it, and he's like, we take them from where they are over the line of fear to where they actually want to go. But this fear and this uncertainty and this doubt is holding them back, and then we freaking over deliver, and then they become a big case study and testimonial. I bring clients to my house, dude. Like, they come. Some of them fly out because I do events in the summer too, and they fly out themselves. But some of them that are like driving distance or whatever, like we're in the same California, area. They come and we do case studies in the backyard because, and like. The reality is, bro, most people aren't, well, I shouldn't say that. I think most people are skeptical about working with online business owners in general, but most people that I talk to, like that actually get on the call and like want to learn about what I do and are interested and like putting in the effort, I close like 80 to 90% of people I talk to because they see so much proof after days, weeks, months, however long it takes them to rip the Band-Aid off and actually do something about their life. They don't really hesitate. For the people that do hesitate, bro, I'll be real with you. I'm not trying to be a dick for lack of better terms, but like they don't do anything. It's not like they go with somebody else. I check in with them months later. I have a list of like 5 or 10 people that like got on a call and still said no this year. They don't have jobs still. They don't have jobs because if they did, when I would text them, they would rub it in my face. No, yeah, bro, I got a cool ass job. Boom, boom, boom. No. You do not have a job. I looked at your LinkedIn. You still don't. Okay? So what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're still you're scared, but what do you have to lose? You have no job. So it just shows you, bro. There's people like me that put 10 grand on a credit card with no job in 2018. And there's people like you who invest 20 grand in a mastermind. And then there's people that do nothing. Regardless of the fact that they need more help than anybody in the world. It's crazy.
Winners are going to win.
Winners are going to win. I know you're out of time.
Some people are just losers.
Yeah, facts. Guys, I'll wrap this up. Me and Max are going to do more together. Definitely have a lot in the works. You'll see us again soon. Any last words, bro?
No, bro. I appreciate the time. Thank you, Cam.
Okay, brother. I'll let you go for sure. We'll talk soon.
Okay. We'll see you, bro.
Okay. All right, bro.